Right, evening, everybody. I'm just letting the last few people in from the waiting room. I'll give it 30 seconds to see that everybody's on, so I don't get distracted, and we'll get going as soon as we can. In the meantime, if you just make sure you are muted, please. You'll have a chance at the end to ask any questions. Once I get through all the info, hopefully I can answer anything as we go on through the slides. But just hold all your questions to the end and let me get through the info, and hopefully we cover everything, but I'm sure something might come up. Okay. Let's get going. So thank you all for jumping on today. We only have an hour, as there's another meeting straight after this at 8 o'clock with some of our other teams. So hopefully we can get through it. I don't plan on being on here for an hour. So we'll run through some info for the upcoming season and for the U8 program, what it entails and what it'll look like for you and your child. And yeah, again, if you've just jumped on, make sure you're muted, make sure to hold all your questions to the end, and we'll get through as quick as we can. So in these first couple of minutes, I apologize if I get distracted. I'm letting people in from the wait list and trying to run through yes and take care of the meeting. So I will like right there. So hopefully I'll get back to my train of thought as soon as I can. So I apologize in the first couple of minutes as I let people in. So here is the agenda for the evening. We'll go through some welcomes and introductions, the club pathway, your uniforms, program overview, age-specific objectives for the phase that we're in, which includes the U8s and some of our travel teams at U9 and 10, some of our staff, our periodization plan, which, if you don't know what that means, just it's a fancy word for what our season looks like, and what we look like on game day. So again, hold your questions to the end. There's not a ton of slides to go through, but there's obviously a lot of info to get through to make sure everyone's on board with everything. So just for myself, my name is Darren Patricio. I am the Director of Player Development for Loudon Soccer. Little boxes are just some of my licenses that I have, my coaching background, and what I've done outside of Loudon Soccer. If you need any more info on me, go onto our website, and there's some info on there too. But this isn't about me. This is about you and your child. So this is where we're at. This is our club pathway. This is part of our framework, which you can find on our website under the About section and the club framework. So this program is technically part of our recreation program, but the staff that works in it and those close to the program don't see it that way. We see it as a pre-travel program, which is what it's called on next to our website or next to the name, even though it gets found under the recreation tab. So we see it as a bridge program, which we'll go through in a couple of minutes, to the travel program. So it is a higher level of coaching. All our coaches are professionals, professional coaches. Some this is their full-time job, some this is not their full-time job, but they are extremely good at it, which is why they are part of the program. So it is a bridge program to get to our U9s, rising U9s, which for all of you, not all of you, most of you, those born in 2015, will be next season, the 2023-24 season. So this is just that bridge towards that. So again, it is technically a recreational program, but we don't see it like that. We don't coach it like that. And the objectives that we lay out are not part of, directly part of what we look for on a recreational field compared to what we would look for on a U8 Academy field. So part of our framework, again, we're in Foundation 2. That is the phase we're in. So the focus right here for the U8s and our U9s and U10s at the travel is basic understanding of the game and purely technical. So we work on technique. We very seldomly will work on some of the other areas, which are awareness and communication. And as the players go through the club and part of the framework and part of as they develop different skills as they get older, awareness will become plus technique will become part of the focus area. And as they get a little bit older, going into high school ages, then communication becomes a big part. So you can see there that U8's Academy, we've listed it under the travel portion within our framework, which is then grouped within our U9s and 10s. So what you will see on the U8 Academy practice field and the sessions that we run and the ideas that we put on are the same things, and at least very similar to what we're asking our U9s to do and our U10s. Obviously, there's a different level of player because they're a little bit older, so the expectations are slightly less, but what we are asking them to do is very similar in our coaching points and the sessions that we put on and the activities that we will ask the players to perform. So that's a little bit about our framework. Start us off with the uniforms as purely part of the U8s. I believe this is the very first time that we've gone into this meeting, at least as I've been part of it for 3 years, that everyone has ordered their uniforms. So unless Capelli has sent me the wrong information, thank you. Hopefully you have all received your uniforms, or if not, hopefully they are on the way and you will get it before August 29th when we're on the field. So you should receive 3 shirts, a gray practice shirt. That is, the expectation is players wear that on Mondays and Fridays. Your red and white game shirts, which we will rotate throughout the season, depending on when we play games, who we're playing against, which will run through in the calendar. Then you should receive a pair of red socks and black shorts. If you haven't got any of those, or you didn't order one particular item, get on it now so that Capelli can send you your stuff. I believe they have items in their New York warehouse. If it's not, that's when delays happen, and that's why they state 3 to 4 weeks on their website. So get on it. I think they still have some of the style and the items that we need. So if you haven't ordered one of those items, get on it, and then everybody will be looking the same when we get onto the field, which is again the expectation. So the U8 Academy program structure, the history. This will be the 11th year of the program, and it was created for the better players and a bridge program to the U9 travel setup, which 11 years ago we at the club found that there was a bit of a gap between the level of player coming into travel and what the expectation was. So the U8 Academy program was put into place, so that we could have players with the understanding of what we are asking of them as they get into the travel setup. So it is organized by birth year, unlike the regular rec programming. So this is for players born in 2015 throughout the whole year, and then 2016 players are eligible if you are born January 1st through June 31st. So there's an 18-month window where you could be eligible, so you could fall anywhere in between that. There are some players that we've identified that are a little bit younger, and players will get put into groups as we'll go through in the next slide, and will be part of their development and where we feel best. In the past, we have jumbled up players. We don't see us doing that very often, maybe in the first week or two. And by jumble up, I mean everybody playing together and mixed up. We will sort players out by their ability, so that we test the best players, but as well as testing the players that need a little bit extra help because they are playing on the same level. So we don't want anyone to be placed in a group that is not beneficial to their development right now. So within the girls program, there are 50 players. There will be 5 coaches on the field, and I will go through those coaches. There will be groups of 10 at practice, and then the same groups will go into each game on a Saturday. For the boys, there are 71 players, and there will be 6 coaches with groups of 12s. Obviously, there'll be one group of 11. we feel number one, it's because of space that we didn't want to make 7 groups. The micro fields that are set up at Loudon Soccer Park, there are only 6 on one field, and we can't take up space on another field. So we feel comfortable putting 12 players in a group, and again, it'll be based on ability as we go through the season, and there might be some player movement. Just because you're in one group in week 1 doesn't mean that's where your player will end up, and it doesn't mean that they will be with the same coach for the entire program. Coaches will rotate through certain groups, and some players will move up so we can test them, so we can see what their ability is, because we've seen something in game situations that we like, and we want to give them a chance with maybe some better players. But also we might feel that a player just needs to gain a little bit of confidence and needs to be put maybe in maybe a lower group for a week or 2, so that they're understanding the topics that are being asked of each player, and that they're able to perform those topics and those tasks and activities to the best of their ability. So throughout the season, just remember that this is a long season. If you're going to be part of the program in the winter and the spring as well, it's not a sprint. This is a marathon. Your child is 6 or 7 years old right now. There are currently no 8-year-olds in the program. Those are all playing up in U9. So your child will develop at a different rate as maybe what you expect, maybe what we expect, and maybe there's growth spurts happening. There's different things going on. A new school, you've moved, they're going into a new grade. Lots of things going on that might change. So just let the season run its course. Let your player do what they got brought into the program to do, and I promise you that they'll enjoy themselves, and everyone will get better as the season goes on. So here is the staff, which will include myself. I won't be on the field coaching in the girls session. These 5 coaches will be, but I will jump into the boys session. That's just because I will be on site. I will still be on the field with the girls, walking around and helping out. But these 5 coaches will be on the field with the girls, and then I will run a boys session, because it's difficult to get someone to come out for 1 hour every week. So Al Bonilla and Royce Brody have been in the program for many years. Al runs our camps and our adult league for Loudon Soccer. Royce is our U9 to U10 age group coordinator. So they are highly experienced, very, very good coaches. Tatiana Coleman was in the program last year. She came in and she did a phenomenal job. So it was a no-brainer to keep her on. And then new to the program will be Dave Druper and Scott Mitchell. If you were in the U7 pre-academy last season, Dave Druper had a girls group, so he will be a familiar face to some. He did a couple of U8 sessions throughout the season in the spring. And Scott Mitchell currently coaches with me in the U9 boys, and with Royce in the U10 boys. So everyone within this setup is in our U9 to U12 age group, so they have an understanding of the phases that we go through for each player and our technical framework. And Al Bonilla is the only one who coaches at U11 and U12, which is a different format. All the other coaches coach within the U9 setup currently within the club, U9 or U10. So they're in the same phase in that foundation too within our framework. So everybody knows what they're looking for. Everybody knows what the expectations are for the players, and everybody knows what the players need as they go through the season, and what they need to develop as a young player at 6 and 7 years old. So within the foundation phase, we work on different objectives. We work on technical objectives, character objectives, physical objectives, and game concepts. Our focus, again, for the U8 Academy is on the technical objectives and game concepts. That's natural because we have to play games. We ask players for certain character objectives, but we know that they're young and they don't quite understand everything just yet. We're not looking for physical objectives in the U8s. That's something as we go through to our U9s and our U10s in our travel program. We ask players we look for different physical objectives for them to be able to succeed in different areas of the field. So within the technical objectives, we use generally one player to one ball within our sessions, and all our sessions will be broken down by a certain topic. So we have 4 topics within within our structure that we will utilize for every training session. Those are dribbling and disguise, passing and receiving, ball striking, and finishing. Ball mastery is listed on top. We will do ball mastery every single session. And again, that is just a fancy word for making your player comfortable with the ball. Without making them comfortable with the ball, they're unable to dribble, they're unable to pass, they're unable to strike a ball, and they're unable to finish because they can't keep a ball at their feet. So every single session will probably look like, we will start it with some kind of ignition game, which could be a small scrimmage as players arrive. It could be some other ignition game that may be used within, that's part of the topic that we're running through. We will then probably get into either one player to one ball, or small groups, maybe group of 2 with the ball. And we will work on ball mastery. We will then work on a different, our main topic for the session. So if it is, say, ball striking, we might be working on scoring goals from outside the arc within the field. So just passing the ball over longer spaces, and then we'll play a game at the end, which may be restricted, where players can score goals from, or we may just let it go free depending on each coach and their group and what it looks like. So that's just an example of what our session may look like. But there are 4 topics that we work through. We may do the same topic for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, or we may change it up every week. It'll depend on the players. It'll depend on what we see on game day, and it'll depend on what we can add in, because some of them can be combined by finishing and a dribbling and disguise, for instance, having to beat a player and get into space and then score goals. So age-appropriate game concepts that we will look for in the game. You will hear the coaches repeat themselves over and over again, probably the same thing in keeping your shape, which we'll go through. I'll show you the formation a little bit later that we ask the players to play in. And keeping our shape means we'll play in a diamond and using staying wide, staying in that diamond shape, and someone staying high and someone slightly deeper. We don't play with goalkeepers. We don't ask players to defend the goal. We ask players to defend the ball. So it's staying connected within that. So within those game concepts, we will teach small group game concepts. So even though it's 4v4, we may break it down to the small group of 2v1 or 2v2 or maybe 3v2. We'll play progression games where we may start at 1v1 and add a player into 2v1. We'll have unbalancing games, which will basically mean getting the ball from one side of the field to the other, or from left to right. So again, it's keeping our shape, and then when to finish and how to finish. And game intelligence is just everything rolled into one, of having the smartest players possible to be able to go through and utilize all the game concepts that we're teaching, and who gets that quicker than others. We don't know yet, but we have again, there are 121 players in our group, so there will be different varying game intelligence of players that we're looking for and that we expect, and the coaches will understand that because they work with players at this young age. So here's our weekly session of what it will look like. This is just an example. Mondays, we say we're doing in the attacking third, we will play games. We'll have our ignition game for 10 minutes, a spotlight activity, which means we may do, it'll incorporate some ball mastery, It'll incorporate some topics. So if we're doing passing and receiving, it'll be some ball mastery and passing into a player. That will be our groups of 2 to 1 ball, possibly. Our spotlight game will be, if it's passing and receiving for the week, we would it would be different concepts of maybe a 2v1, and you have to complete 1 pass before anyone can score a goal. Players at 6 and 7 want the ball, which is great, but they forget that there's 3 other people with them on game day, and sometimes one of those 3 other people is in a slightly better spot. So if we play small games at 2v1, it just teaches them to share the ball. And so if the topic is passing and receiving, how can we keep our shape? We don't chase each other on the field, keeping the shapes that we can utilize space to get around defenders, behind defenders, and score goals. Everybody, I don't care how old you are, everybody wants to score goals, and you need space to be able to do that. And we will end each session with a game. So if you have conflicts, let me know as soon as possible. Some of you have already, so thank you. It's easy for me to work out the groups for the week if I know players are missing, or we can shuffle around. And if there's too many missing, which doesn't usually happen in the fall, it's more for the spring, but if there's too many missing, we can then change up our session plan and our activities to make it more fun for the players. Instead of having really small groups, we can then adjust what our session is. So again, gray shirt for practice, size 3 ball, and loads of water on the field. Parents aren't allowed on the field, so this isn't like rec. You can't come and sit next to us and watch your child, not because we don't want you there. It's because we want your child to focus on what we're asking them to do. And quite honestly, parents become a distraction when they're too close too often. So we want the kids to experience the game and the topics and the sessions by themselves. So make sure they bring their water and their soccer ball onto the field themselves. You will receive the training groups on Monday morning or Sunday evening for the entire week. So players know who they're looking for. They'll know what field they're looking for. Week 1 will be a little rough because the players won't know all the coaches, but by week 2, 3, and 4, they'll be more comfortable with the same faces that they keep seeing. So send them onto the field, and we'll take care of them. Then there'll be some additional training opportunities possibly for certain players. We have players from U8 Academy train up with the U9s at our training academy. That'll be on Wednesdays. Don't ask me if your child is part of that group. I will let you know if your child is part of that group. You might see something on game day where they score 5 goals. That doesn't mean that they're ready to go and train with the U9. So we'll take it slowly. It won't be everybody. It will be a couple, but there will be opportunities as we go through the season for certain players to go and train up. And we will play additional scrimmages against other clubs, which I'll go through in the calendar next, where we play against VSA, who are in Haymarket, and one of our local clubs that we play against in our travel programs. And we play against them on week 2 and week 3. So some important dates to remember. Practice begins on August 29th. We are off on September 3rd. We don't have a game that day. We're off on Monday, September 5th. And then we're back on the field on that Friday, on September 9th. Our first game day is September 10th, which includes picture day. So come ready, and I'll send out more information about that once we get closer to the time. September 17th is game day versus VSA at Loudon Soccer Park, where we will probably rotate. We'll make more teams, so we get more game time. Because on game days we usually play against each other. So if you're in a group, say with myself, we split those groups up on game day to play against each other. If you trained with me on Monday and Friday, those players will get split up to play. Obviously, we can't expect 12 players to play a 4v4 game. So we'll probably double the amount of teams that we have that day. and we'll utilize more space. We'll bring in more coaches, and the same for September 24th when we go to VSA, which is in Haymarket at Long Park. But again, I will send out a weekly email with all that information as it gets closer to the time. We're off on Columbus Day weekend on October 8th because our fields are used for a tournament. So we do not play that day. Our final training session is on November 4th, and our final game day is on November 5th. So this is our formation that we will ask players to play in on game day. We play in a diamond, so we play with one defender, one striker, one player on the left, one player on the right. Nice and simple, and we ask players to keep that shape, to stay on your side of the field, so that again we can get the ball from one side to the other, or from top or from bottom to top, and utilize spaces as we go. That's if we play 4v4. We may also play 5v5 games, where we just add in a goalkeeper. We will determine once we determine that more than 3/4 of the players are ready to play with the goalkeeper, then we will use it for everybody. We won't split the groups up and have some play 5v5 and others play 4v4. That's highly unlikely. We will probably keep the same format throughout the game days for the players. So again, it's just a big triangle. The field will make the field slightly bigger to incorporate the goal. The goal will be slightly bigger as well. We use the micro goals for the 4v4s, which are the goals that you see on the rec field for Rec 1 and our kindergarten teams. If we go into 5v5, because we have a goalkeeper, we will utilize bigger goals, slightly bigger goals, so that we can stick a player in the goal and become used to playing. So on game day, within our style of play, there are 4 moments to the game. We attack, we defend, we transition from attack to defend, and we transition from defend to attack. You will see a lot of chaos on the field for the first couple of weeks as we run through it. Players will run up and down. Players won't know necessarily where to be, and that's okay. That's what the coaches are there for. They will guide everybody so that we're able to attack as 4 and defend as 4. And as 4, that means the 4 players. There will be transition is just as soon as we lose the ball, for instance, how quickly can we defend? And if we're defending and we win the ball, how quickly can we go and try and score another goal? Those will probably be the 2 main game moments that you see, because as soon as players win the ball, it's all sprinting to try and score, and it's all sprinting to try and defend, hopefully. There won't be a lot of tactical coaching points going on from us, because the players don't understand those. So there'll be a lot of up and down, back and forth. There'll be a lot of tied players on week 1 and week 2, which is okay, but the coaches will sort those out and get through those. So when we have the ball, what we're asking players to do in certain moments is progress the ball. We want to unbalance the other team, and we want to finish chances as quickly as possible. So progression is just how we get the ball from the back to the front. We do that by passing and receiving. We do it by keeping the ball in certain areas, and we break lines. Breaking lines just means how do we get the ball from our defender to our striker, and breaking the line means that we beat the other team's midfield, which are the 2 wide players. So how can we get the ball to the striker as quick as we can and as easily as we can to allow us to score a goal? To unbalance, we can dribble, which is one of our topics. We run with the ball, which is just running with the ball into space, which you'll see a lot of again, and combinations, which is those 2v1 games that I spoke about in training, that we will hopefully see a lot of in the games. And when we finish, we want to get into a spot on the field where we can score goals. We'll work on our ball striking, and there'll be breakaways because at one point all 4 players will try and attack and be on the other side. Someone will miss an open goal, and as quick as they can, the other team will break away and have an open goal on the other side. So there'll be a lot of running up and down until the players start to understand everything that we're trying to teach. Again, that's okay. When the other team has the ball, there's two general points and one specific. So general, we want to just deny passes beyond our midfield, right? So when we have the ball, we want to get the ball from the back to the front as quick as possible. When we don't have the ball, we don't want the other team to do that, right? So it's just the opposite. We want to stay compact when we have the ball. So whereas when we do have the ball, we want our players to stay nice and wide. So we ask them to put their heels on the touchline. When we don't have the ball, we want them to come inside a little bit, so that obviously the more space you have in the middle of the field, the more chance the other team has of scoring, because the goal's in the middle of the field. And we want to deny those goal scoring chance. So press to win the ball just means how can we sprint and win the ball back as quick as we can. Again, we don't defend the goal. We want to win the ball, and we support. So when we're defending, or when we're attacking and we create those 2v1s, how can we maybe create a 2v1 while we're defending? So it's just about one player going to try and win the ball, and another player trying to just get back and support. Again, we will keep repeating this. We do not defend the goal. So don't teach your player to run back to the goal and stand in the middle of the goal, unless we're playing 5v5 and they're the goalkeeper. We want players to go and win the ball, because that means that they can win it and they're comfortable with the ball to be able to dribble into space and do all the good things that we're teaching. We don't teach players to go and stand and watch, stand in front of the goal and be comfortable in front of the goal. So some other topics: communication. Just let me know. Don't let the coach that you're assigned to on the field know that you're not coming to training. Let me know. You can do that via email. If there is an issue on the field for whatever reason, wait 24 hours so that you can relax. The issue will usually be about your child, and no one ever wants to hear an issue come from their child, whether it's someone on the field, someone off the field, whatever. Just give it 24 hours so everybody has a breather, everybody's a little bit calmer, and you can maybe talk with your child a little bit easier. And then we can, if it's something that we need to sort out, you let me know, and we can do it. Playing time will be as close to equal as possible. The coaches will obviously keep track of the time, because the coaches ref the games as well. But they don't sit and with the stopwatch and going, right, Johnny's been on the outside and it's his time to come in right now. They know more or less when players need to come on. So just maybe this week they played 2 minutes less than what you expect, but next week they might play 5 extra minutes than what you expect. So everything will even out. And I bring that up because you'd be surprised how many people try and complain about the amount of time that their kid is on the field, whether it's U8s or in any travel setup. Trust the system. Like I said, this is not a marathon. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So just because your child looks like they might be struggling in week 1, it's a new environment, new coaches, maybe not a friendly face. Maybe you were the parent coach last year and they were very comfortable with you on the field. The coaches expect a lot. Obviously, it's a fun environment and the coaches are all great, but the expectation is still high, because we're trying to make players better, and we're trying to produce different aspects for each player. So just let your player get comfortable with the environment, with the setup, with the coaches, and I promise you they will. Development takes time, so they will get better. Every player has a different journey, and we have a tremendous success rate of getting players, number one, into travel. Number 2, keeping them in travel, but once they get older, which is still a long time for all of you on this call, but once your player is eligible to go into college, we put a extremely high number of players into colleges once they get to that stage. So just trust us, trust the system. We're good at what we do. So let us make your child a better player. Goals for parents: encourage your player to compete against themselves all day and every day, because we will ask them to compete against themselves to be better than what they think they are, better than what you think they are, better than what you think they could be. All of us will coach the same way. Don't define your child's success because they won on the weekend. I promise you, we don't keep score. Number one, because the scores probably end up 10-9 every week. It's very rare that it's a extremely close, low-scoring game, which is what we want. We want players to be able to score goals, to be comfortable with the ball, and be able to score goals and do what they're good at, because that's what they want to do. That's why they play the game. It doesn't matter how many passes they made or how many times they dribble past someone. The first question probably that grandma and grandpa ask is how many goals did you score, and they're excited to say that. So the higher the score, the better it is for us. And don't coach from the sidelines in practice or in games. Number one, because as soon as you start talking to your child, you are a familiar voice, and they will listen to you first before the coach. And although all of us are extremely loud, and you will be able to hear what we're saying, sometimes there is a different conversation that might go on, and we ask players to do different things. So don't confuse them. Let us coach. Let everybody on the field do what they want to do, and do what they're asked to do. Just encourage. Keep encouraging your players, and let them play the game, and let the coaches coach. Once you start talking to them, this is what your player's mind looks like. There's a million different questions that running through their head right now. And again, you are the familiar voice. So don't make a game that's very hard for them right now, and what we're asking of them. Don't make it harder for them, because you see something that maybe they don't. Let them figure it out. We will ask a bunch of questions in training and in the games, and players you'll begin to figure things out on their own, and these bubbles will then go away, because they'll be able to work out which moment requires which action or which activity that we've asked them to do. Just again, some other topics. The uniforms. Our uniform supplier is Capelli Sport, so please wear your Capelli Sport gear. You spent a ton of money on it, so wear it. Be early to training so that we can get going. We only have 55 minutes to an hour, and sometimes we have a lot of different things to go through, and sometimes we want players to play for longer. So try and be early if you can. We get that things happen. But try and get to training early. If you have any conflicts, let me know. If you're going to be late, let me know. I will have my phone right up until I start coaching with the boys on the field at 6 o'clock. So let me know if you're going to be late, so I can inform the coaches so they can again prepare the sessions, because sometimes missing one player makes a big difference to what we're trying to do within the session. It might not seem like it, but sometimes it does, depending on what the activity is. Players will rotate positions. No player will play one position all season long or all game long. They will rotate and usually play at the other. If we're playing 4v4, they will play the other all 4 positions on a game day. And when it's 5v5, everybody will play all 5 positions on game day. Compete. Again, we don't judge by winners or losses, and we will push your child to become better than what they think they are and what you think they can be. And our commitment from a program point of view, although it is a higher cost than the regular rec program, a lot of it is subsidized through other programs and other events that we put on, so that we can have professional coaches of the highest caliber come out and be with the players. So we can keep doing that in the future. We provide trainers if we need to, and other coaches, and when certain coaches can't be at training or a game because of conflicts with their own travel teams, we can then bring in other coaches of the exact same level of expertise, or possibly higher if we need to. And we create and implement an age-appropriate curriculum. So we're not asking your player to do things that are overboard and too much for them. Everything that we'll ask of them, we know that they can do, because we've seen players of the same age do them. Again, we will push them we will do them over and over again, and push players even if it looks like they're struggling, to give us one good moment within those within a game or within a session. And that's a win for us. one moment turns into two, and turns in by the end of the season, it turns into multiple. So we will keep working on the curriculum and making it better. But right now, we think we have a great curriculum to be able to push players of this age and caliber of player with such a high number in the program. All right, that's enough from me. That's my email address, which you all should have already. Some of our emails, we don't know why, but through our server go into spam. So save my email address so that anything I send out, you'll get. Especially if you have a Gmail account, all information, the weekly practice and game information will come from this email address. It's very rare that I would send it through Sports Connect or info at Loudon Soccer. So save this email address so that you all have it on hand. Right. I think I spoke longer than I really wanted to. I only wanted that to be 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to stop sharing over here. If you have any questions, one thing I didn't mention actually was on the end of season tournament. Right now, I don't have information on that end of season tournament. I know it was mentioned. It's listed on our website. The club that usually hosts that tournament is having a couple of issues, and I haven't received any information yet. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it. So right now, I don't have anything for anybody on the end of season tournament, which would happen the week before Thanksgiving. As soon as I do, I will of course send it out to everybody so that you're all up to date, and we can see if we want to put some teams in and how many players we have available. Okay, so if you have any questions, let's go unmute yourself. We've got about about 15 minutes before we've got to jump off here so that our ECNL players can jump on for a meeting.
I have a quick question. Okay. I've heard from Capelli that our white jersey is back ordered. Is there any guidances if they're not showing up on time, what to do? Or
in the meantime, you can wear a white shirt, but if there's a number of white jerseys, we'll probably just wear the red one until everybody has their white shirt.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, two quick questions. One, are all our practices at Loudon Soccer Park? And two, are there any winter sessions planned as part of this academy?
So what you signed up for right now is for the fall only. The winter information will be sent out when that is when we have that information ready. That'll be a completely separate fee and a separate program, but it is for U8 Academy players only. And all sessions are at Loudon Soccer Park unless I tell you otherwise.
Thank you.
Again, I will send out a weekly email with all the information. Anyone else? It's your chance.
Hi, Coach. This is Aziz. Just a question. What is the criteria for the pre-travel team players being able to participate in the with the under-9 team on Wednesday that you mentioned early? Just curious to see if that's on a case-by-case basis on past performance or will be assessed as the season progresses.
Players will get assessed as we go along to make sure that they're understanding what we're asking of them from a basic point of view from the U8s. And like I mentioned, all the coaches are in the U9 and U10 program, so they know what they're looking for. Yeah, right now, no one's training with the U9s. So give it some time.
Thank you.
I have a question. That Friday before Columbus Day that we're off, will we have practice then since it's a tournament?
Yes, we have training. There's no tournament on the Friday, only it starts on Saturday. So we will train on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you. You mentioned that parents cannot attend the trainings. Can they attend the tournaments?
We don't have a tournament scheduled right now. Do you mean the games?
In the games.
Yeah, so parents cannot be on the field with us, but there will be a viewing area where you can watch from outside the fence. For games, parents will be allowed onto the field, depending on again, we will show you where your child will play, and we will designate an area for the parents to sit and watch on each field for game day.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Going once?
Okay, I'm gonna ask the bathroom question, sorry. Is there guidance for, I mean, they're 6 and 7 years old, they should be able to hold it for an hour, but can they go to the bathroom during practice? If they have to go, do they just say that to the coach? And
Yeah, we're not that mean. If player needs to go to the bathroom, they'll go to the bathroom. The bathrooms are right by the field that we train on. So coaches won't go in with them. So make sure parents stick around. But yeah, take them to the restroom before training, and hopefully they can, like you said, hopefully they can last an hour. But if they need to go, they need to go.
So the same kids are not going to stay together during the season. It's just randomly they're assigned to different teams during the season.
Nope, it's not random. Like I said in the beginning, players will be placed into groups based on their development and based on their ability. So for the girls, we will have 5 groups. We'll have group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and players may rotate in and out depending on what we see from their development throughout the weeks. Boys will have 6 groups of 12, and we'll rotate if we see somebody that's really excelling, they'll get moved into a top group or a higher group as the season goes on. But nothing is done randomly. Everything will be calculated and coordinated, and you will know every Sunday or Monday which group your child is, at least which coach your child is with.
Do you use any kind of apps to communicate with parents and kind of on
No
attendance?
no apps, because there's 121 of you, and there's always somebody that wants to use the team chat, and I hate the team chat. So there's no apps, email only, so that you get to respond to me on your own. Otherwise, our coaches can't keep track of everything. Our schedule doesn't change, so add it into your calendar now. Monday, girls 5 o'clock. Friday 5 o'clock. Boys Monday 6 o'clock. Friday 6 o'clock. Saturday, girls 9 a.m. Boys 10 a.m. So nothing changes, unless the only day that things might change is on when we play at VSA, because they switch their girls and boys program around the time. Their boys play first, so to accommodate them, we might change. But again, I will tell you the week of if anything changes. But we don't use an app because of the number of players within the group.
On the groups that the kids are in, will you know, like if my son is moving up, like will I know if he's moving up or down, or I'll just know he's in a different group that week?
You'll just know he's in a different group that week. You'll be able to tell by the caliber of players that are around him if he's moved up. If it's a severe case where we need to get in touch with anybody because the players are not performing at the level that we need them to, that's a different conversation. But everybody's always happy to move up and not move down. We want players to be tested and pushed against players of similar caliber. So sometimes playing in a lower group is not the worst thing in the world either. But the groups won't be listed as 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. or 6 for the
Got it.
boys.
Okay, thank you.
Coach, you had a slide on the coaches for the girls group. I don't recall seeing a slide for the coaches for the boys group. Is that because it's still TBD, or are they already lined up and we just don't have the names yet?
Coaches are the same. Girls and boys
Got it.
coaches are exactly the same.
Got
The
it.
only difference is I jump into the boys session because there's more. Anyone else? 2 minutes. Okay. Right. Thank you everybody for joining. This is an exciting age group for me because those of you, there's a lot of names that I recognize because you've coached with us in the rec program before, and before I took over this role, I was involved in Rec 1 and the minis. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first group of U8s that is in the program where there are coaches that I have been on the field with or communicated with. So it's good timing for this to be my first full year leading the U8s. I've been involved for a number of seasons, like I mentioned, but there's lots of names I mentioned. We're excited about the number of players. We're excited about the groups, and hopefully we can enjoy a good season together. Look out for an email either next week or early in the week of the 29th, so we can get started and we get on the field with the training groups. But yeah, if you know any conflicts that you have throughout the year, let me know now. Otherwise, I will be in touch, and we will see everybody on August 29th on the field for our first day, competition day. So get your players ready to compete and play loads of games on day one. It's a fun day for everybody to get to know each other. And we're excited, as myself and the staff I know is excited to get back on the field. So thanks everybody for joining. This will get uploaded tomorrow and sent out to everybody. And yeah, if anything comes up, let me know. Enjoy your evening, everybody.